Jack. Yes, she thought she was being cunning. What she didn't know was that I heard about all this from someone she worked with who was disgusted by what was happening. I made my plans and prepared. Luckily, I had time to deal with my rage and prepare for what was to come. It all starts tonight, right after dinner. Kayla. So, tonight? Asked my friend Mary. Yes, finally I will do it. I'll wait after dinner, bring him beer, and then tell him what will happen, I answered. Just remember to be strong. He won't like it, but you have to stay strong. I remember, as we agreed. He has no choice. This is how it will be, and if he really loves me, he will let me do this for my happiness. Right. Just be prepared for him to scream and yell. He will try to fight it, but in the end, he will come to his senses and accept the new reality. It is important that you remain calm but firm. Let him be hysterical, and then he will understand that you are in charge here. Right. Besides, as far as he knows, this will only be temporary. Once he accepts it, he will start to like it. Then everything will just continue. Are you sure about all this? Jack can be very stubborn. Listen, Kayla, Jack loves you more than anything in the world. Of course, he will be angry, but when he calms down, he will understand that he loves you so much that he will do everything to make you happy. Even this. Okay? I think you're an expert. Trust me. It took me ruining 2 marriages to figure this out, but I perfected the method on my 3rd marriage. You know my current husband. Now he is completely under my control. He even stands next to the bed when I have sex with one of my bulls. I also sometimes make him clean me after I'm done. In a month, another Jack will also join the queue. Then you can be sure of the safety of your marriage with Jack, as well as the pleasure of several other men. I finished the day and went home to cook Jack his favorite dinner. When Jack returned home, he greeted me with the words, "I love you," and kissed you on the cheek, as usual. Despite my best efforts, I was still nervous. This will be a big step and change in our marriage, but it was all worth it. Mary has been telling me about her FLM for quite some time now. I have personally seen how this works for her and her husband. He was really happy with how their marriage turned out. I'm sure Jack will love it too. The dinner conversation was pleasant. We told each other about the day and discussed some of the news of the day. It was a normal dinner for us. After dinner, I insisted that he take a beer and go relax while I cleaned up. He resisted a little, wanting to help, but I told him it wasn't too much and I could handle it. The leftover food was removed, the dishes were put in the dishwasher, and it was time. I poured myself a glass of wine, mentally prepared myself, and went into the living room for the confrontation. Jack, dear, we need to talk. I started. Of course, honey. About what? Okay, Jack. I understand that this may be hard for you to accept right now, but this is what I really need to do. Please keep in mind that this is only temporary. Okay, so what do you need? If it is so important to you, of course, I will do everything I can for your happiness. He's been taking it pretty well so far. He didn't even bother. Fine. So we've been talking about having kids, and I'm almost ready for it. But there are a couple more things I feel like I need to do first. It should be a couple of months at the most, and then we can start working on making some babies. That's great, baby. So what are these things that you need to do? Here it is. I took a deep breath and prepared for the fireworks. Well, Jack, I need to sow the last of the wild oat seeds. This will only be temporary, so I can fully settle down and be the best wife and mother to our children you could ask for. Okay, my love. Sounds reasonable so far, but how are you going to plant those wild oats? Wow, he took it really well. I expected him to be furious. I'll be dating other men for a while. We'll still make love on a regular basis, but I'll also have sex with some other guys to get it out of my head. Keep in mind that this is only sex with other guys. You are the only one who receives my love. In a couple of months, I will return to you and become your faithful wife again. And then we can start working on having the children we planned. Well, Kayla, you don't seem to be asking my permission to do this, so I'm guessing you've already made up your mind. If that's the case, then I'd just like to put it on record that I'm not in favor of it. If you ask for my permission or consent, I will not give it. However, you are a grown woman with a mind of your own, so I won't stop you if that's what you really feel you need to do. Everything went better than I could have imagined. He didn't even raise his voice. Everything was said in a very conversational manner. Mary must be right. Jack will take on a new role for which I will prepare him. So, Kayla, how exactly is this going to work? Are you going to move, or are you expecting me to move? Are you going to bring them here to have sex? Will you go to them, or to a hotel? Oh, well, I decided that we would both continue to live here. In the end, we are still married, and as I said, we will continue to make love. Other guys will just be sex. I will make love to you. I would imagine that I would go to them sometimes, but I would probably bring them here sometimes. In such cases, you will have to sleep in the spare bedroom during those nights. I really don't see the need to pay for a hotel room since we could just come here. Okay, once again, let me reiterate that I am not advocating this. However, I must insist that we will not have sex while this continues. I'm very sorry, but this is for my own health. Since I have no idea who these people are or what their background is, I won't risk catching any sexually transmitted diseases that they might pass on to you. Besides, once you're done and decide to come back to me, we'll have to wait until you've been vetted and cleared of anything. Go have fun, and don't worry about me. Well, Jack, I can't say I'm not disappointed in this. At the end of the day, I love you and always enjoy our love, but I understand your concern. I guess I'll have to live with it. Great, honey. So, when are you planning to start your little flings? Well, Mary and I decided to go to the club and meet a couple of guys from work tomorrow night. I'm not sure that will happen, but I might bring one of them back for the night. Since you're not going to have sex with me while I'm doing it anyway, it might be best if you just move into the spare room for the next couple of months. Okay, Kayla. Do not worry about it. I'll make sure you're moved in by the time you get home tomorrow night, Jack said before going back to reading the newspaper. I just couldn't believe how mature he was about it all. My heart soared. Of course, he complained weakly and refused to have sex with me, but he completely accepted everything. He wasn't even the least bit angry. Mary was definitely right. In 2 months, Jack will be under my thumb. Besides, I knew that this lack of sex was only temporary. In a week or two, he will be in my bed again. Then I just use sex to get him to fully accept his new role as my submissive little hubby. The next day, hello, Mary, this is Kayla. Hello, girl. So how did it go last night? Oh my God, you wouldn't believe how mature Jack was about everything. I expected a nuclear explosion from him, but he didn't even raise his voice. He was just so calm and accepting of it all. Wow, this is cool. I told you he would obey. Do you think you can convince him to watch tonight? I doubt. In fact, I don't think I'd even suggest it. He said he would refuse to have sex with me as long as I did it with someone else. I'm sure this won't last long. After a week or two without a woman, knowing that he has a beautiful woman next to him, he will return. He'll probably be so desperate that you might insist on giving him a few casual seconds right after that lover. It could be a lot of fun. Since he refused to touch me, I just went ahead and made him move to the spare room. He is now packing his things. He promised that he would completely move out of the mistress bedroom before I returned home tonight. Ha ha ha. I love that you changed the name from the master bedroom to the master bedroom. I'll have to start doing this myself. Oh, definitely. Anyway, I guess it's time to get ready. Meet me at the club. Okay, bye-bye. Later that evening, Jack has made pretty good progress in boxing up all the things in my bedroom. I wasn't sure why he actually needed to pack when he could have just carried armfuls of stuff down the hallway, but he explained that it would be better that way. It would be less of a walk, and he could go through everything and leave things he doesn't really need in boxes to get rid of. There was probably some meaning to this, but I was too busy preparing to pay attention to it. He actually said how sexy I looked in my thong, garter belt, stockings, and 5-inch pumps. He didn't say anything when I put on the little red cocktail dress I got for our 5th anniversary last year. This was actually the only time I wore it, but I looked damn good in it. Okay, Jack, I'm leaving. I'll probably be back around 1 a.m. so you don't have to wait for me. Besides, I probably won't be alone. I told him, picking up my clutch and getting ready to walk out the door. Don't worry, honey. By then I will have already moved out, he promised, closing the last box. Something bothered me when I left the house. I couldn't figure out what it could be, but it bothered me a little. I decided it wasn't important, so I put it out of my mind and started thinking about the fun and excitement I'd have tonight. I met Mary, Larry, and Josh at the club. Larry and Josh were account managers. They were both very good-looking and, according to Mary and a couple of other girls in the office, very well hung. While Jack is a little larger than average, I couldn't wait to get my hands on a really big man tool. Supposedly, not only were they big, but they also knew how to use them to their full potential. So Jack actually moved into the spare bedroom? Mary asked, when our first order arrived. Yes. When I left, he had just finished packing his things. He promised that by the time I returned, he would be completely gone. I answered. Did he just say that? Asked Josh. Yes. When I told him what time I should be home, he said, I quote, I'll have already moved out by then. All four of us laughed. Crap. I was hoping we could just get that little cuck to move so we could do it on the bed right next to him. Larry laughed. Maybe after I've worked on it for a week or two. I giggled. But first of all, why haven't any of you asked me to dance yet? We danced and drank for several hours. I danced with both guys several times. We pressed close to each other during the slow songs, and I felt their excitement pressing down on me. Of course, their hands were on my ass most of the night. Mary and I went to the ladies' room to discuss the end of the night. 3 rounds of rock, paper, scissors forced me to take Josh home and Mary to Larry. The house was dark as I walked Josh through the front door. Jack must be in bed already. Everything is fine. We didn't need him to watch anyway. I led Josh down the hall to my room. Of course, all of Jack's things were gone. Maybe I should reward him by offering him a hand job. Then there will be something to think about. Right now, I had other things to do that required my attention. It didn't take us long to get naked, but Josh wanted me to keep the garter belt and stockings. A couple of hours ago, I lost my thong. I'm still not sure which one is Larry or Josh. It didn't matter. I made enough money that I could always buy others. The next 2 hours were pure bliss. I lost count of the climaxes I experienced that night. He even took advantage of my excitement and convinced me to give up. I felt a little regret because I never let Jack do this. Although it was painful at first, I soon discovered that I enjoyed it. Who knows, maybe I'll let Jack do this on his birthday or our anniversary. But there won't be another time. I would save this for my other lovers. The only minor disappointment of the night was that Josh refused to eat me. This was what Jack always did for me. He usually did this until 2 or 3 climaxes before making love. Josh just laughed and said that this just proved what a wimp Jack is. He said that only a small weakling would do this because they did not have a man's tool big enough to satisfy a woman in any other way. We ended up doing it again in the shower before going to bed at night, and again when we woke up the next morning. After that, Josh had to leave and go back to his wife and kids, so I put on a robe and went for coffee. I was a little disappointed that Jack hadn't made the coffee yet. After all, it was already past 9. He usually got up an hour ago. I'll talk to him about this later. I mean, would it kill him if he made me coffee and breakfast after I stayed up late? After breakfast on a bagel, I took a shower and got dressed. The hot water was just what I needed to soothe my sore muscles. I didn't have anything to do today, so I decided to wear some old shorts and a t-shirt. Since I was only going to be around Jack, I put on a functional bra and an old pair of regular panties. I had just finished pulling my hair into a ponytail when the phone rang. Hello, friend. I saw that it was Mary. Hello, sexy thing. So, how was Josh last night? He was amazing. Everything was exactly as I expected. The only minor problem is that he refused to fondle my private part. Yes, Larry won't do it either. You will find that most real men don't do this. That's why I have a husband. He has an amazing tongue and never refuses when I tell him to do it. Wow, Jack always does this for me. He's good at it too. Speaking of Jack, what was his reaction this morning? I don't know. I'm a little angry because he seems to be sleeping. I was disappointed that he didn't make me breakfast and coffee this morning. Yes. Make sure he knows how disappointed you are and what you expect from this moment. Continue to be aggressive with him, but make sure you give him small rewards when he does something good. This will give him incentive to try even harder. I'm actually starting to get angry that he still hasn't gotten up. Wait a minute while I get his lazy ass out of bed. I walked down the hall to the spare bedroom and pounded on the door, shouting his name. There was no answer. I tried again. There was still no answer. Finally, I turned the knob and opened the door. "Oh, shit," I exclaimed. "What's happened?" Mary asked on the phone. "Jack is not in the spare bedroom. His clothes aren't even in the closet." "Wait," I said, running through the house. Crap, his truck was gone, as were all his tools. This little stirring in the back of my head was starting to take shape. "Oh no," I gasped. "What? What is this?" asked Mary. "Jack moved out. Now I understand what he was talking about. He never said he would move his things into the spare room. He only said that he would move his things from my room. He then said he would move in before I returned. I thought he meant he'd move out of my room, but he meant he'd move out of the whole damn house. Crap! I need to call him and find out where he went." No. It is not right. This sends him a signal of weakness. You must stay strong. Don't contact him. Let him contact you. Trust me. Now he's just a little hysterical. In a couple of days, he will crawl to you. This is actually a very good thing. Now you have a reason to punish him and make him beg you to do something for you to let him come back. This speeds up the process. I bet you could even let Josh or Larry knock you up and force Jack to raise the baby. Are you sure? Certainly. Look what my husband does for me. Well, I have to admit that you've been right so far. Certainly. Oh, and Larry wants to meet you in the closet at work for an hour on Monday. Can we really get away with this? Certainly. At least half of the girls do this. It's so bad that I have to do everything on a schedule. I will email you the appointment time. Just book it as a meeting somewhere else. Do not worry about it. The boss never goes there, and everyone who needs something there knows to ask me before going for anything. We chatted a little more before hanging up. I'll admit I was nervous about Jack moving. Beyond what my actions may suggest, I truly love him and want to spend the rest of my life with him. Mary just made FLM sound so good, and it would allow me to try a lot of different men. Of course, in the end, I will give up on other men, but Jack will remain my faithful and submissive husband. Maybe in a few years, I can make a deal with Jack to let me start tying him up if I stop having sex with other guys. Obviously, it won't happen until I'm ready to give it up anyway, but he doesn't need to know that. Maybe I could use bondage as a condition for his return. We need to think about this. Anyway, I needed to recuperate from last night, and I have a long, hard day at work tomorrow. I had to laugh. I cooked a simple dinner, drank a glass of wine, and went to bed. Friday morning. I haven't heard anything from Jack all week. Mary convinced me that this was not so unexpected. She was sure that I would soon hear from him. Besides, the longer he's gone, the more conditions I can set for his return. This week I met up with Larry, Josh, and a couple other nice guys in the storage room every day. I even had a Larry and Josh double team planned this afternoon. It was Friday morning. Larry, Josh, Mary, and I were chatting around the coffee machine during our break when we noticed a rather attractive young woman approaching. She was dressed very professionally. Kayla Adams, Mary Morgan, Josh Johnson, and Larry Jones? She asked in a sweet southern voice. We introduced ourselves. Then she handed each of us an envelope and quickly took a photo of it with a small digital camera. "You've all been served?" she said, turning and heading towards our boss's office. "What is this?" I shouted after her. "Darling, I'm paid to give them, not to read them," she said over her shoulder. She entered her boss's office without knocking. She came out in less than a minute. "I wish you all a good day," she said cheerfully, leaving the building. We all opened our individual bags at the same time. Petition for divorce of marriage. Oh shit. Reading further, the reason given was marital adultery. I froze in shock. Around this time, Josh and Larry's cell phones rang. "Oh shit, they shouted. It would be too confusing to try to record two simultaneous conversations here. Instead, I'll summarize. These were their wives. A few minutes ago, they received all the evidence of their cases. All their belongings were about to be thrown out the door, and from now on, they would have to take turns sleeping. They should also expect to be served with divorce papers at the earliest opportunity. "What the hell?" our boss roared from the depths of the office. Suddenly, he appeared at the door. Noticing the four of us, he yelled so loudly that the entire office heard him, and the office was not small. "Adams, Morgan, Johnson, Jones, get your ass here now!" I had a very bad feeling. With our heads down, we walked past him into his office. He slammed the door behind us. "Do any of you idiots want to explain this to me?" he asked, waving a manila envelope in front of us. None of us dared to speak. "Then let me enlighten you idiots. Apparently the company was sued for not following the code of ethics that we have in our employee handbook. Any ideas why someone needs this?" Once again, we could not bring ourselves to speak. "Then I will explain everything to you. We got sued because apparently Mrs. Adams can't seem to keep her legs closed. Mr. Jones and Mr. Johnson can't seem to keep their Johnsons in their pants. And Mrs. Jones Morgan decided to turn our pantry into a company brothel. Now, would any of you dumbasses be so kind as to assure me that any of these statements are invalid? Can any of you brainless idiots confirm to me that at least none of this crap happened during work hours or on company property? Anyone? No? Are you serious? What the hell were you fucking idiots thinking about? And you assholes want to know what this means? This fucking court order won't even allow me to fire you assholes until this case is settled. Now get the hell out of my office until I find out what the hell to do with you four stupids." With our heads down, we left his office and headed to ours. After that, I hardly had any real work. At the very least, I decided to review the divorce petition and see how bad it would be. It was bad. He had photos, videos, audio, and even some notarized letters. They were going to fuck me royally, without lube. An hour later, a letter arrived from the boss throughout the company. To all employees, management has come to the attention of employees who have repeatedly planned and carried out actions that are in direct conflict with the moral code of conduct detailed in the employee handbook with respect to work time and company property. Since this was unfortunately done by few employees, with the likelihood that this issue is more widespread than what is currently documented, drastic action will be taken. Unfortunately, management cannot be sure who and how many employees are guilty of these actions, so the following actions are taken. All employees are required to familiarize themselves with the code of ethics in the employee handbook. This weekend, he will be working on an online class for this. Each employee will be required to successfully complete the class. All employees must complete this by next Friday. Security will conduct random checks of all secluded areas throughout the day. This will happen several times a day until permanent security cameras are installed to monitor these areas. From now on, the pantry will be locked. The key will be with the head of the security service. Any necessary supplies must be delivered by security escort. He will closely monitor computer usage to ensure that no personal use is made using company assets. Prohibited activities include, but are not limited to, scheduling non-work-related meetings with coworkers or others during or after work hours, using personal email accounts on company computers, browsing websites not related to work, text messages that are not work-related. Communication with coworkers should be strictly limited to the break room during scheduled breaks and lunch breaks. Security personnel will be roaming the building to monitor this. In accordance with company policy, the names of the individuals responsible for these actions will not be disclosed. I'm sure this won't be necessary anyway. Within 2 minutes, my email exploded with hate mail from coworkers. I met the other 3 after work at the bar across the street. We sat down at a small table in the corner. There were a few other coworkers at Friday happy hour. Yes, their views on us were not pleasant. At least we still have work to do, at least for a while. It was very nice of him. "Why do you think Jack included this in the court order?" I asked. "Oh, please," Josh replied. It's damn obvious. He wasn't trying not to hurt you too much. He did it to hurt you more. What do you mean? Alimony. Now, this may not matter because he is using adultery as a reason, but this is just insurance against it. If you work well and have a decent income, there is no way in hell the judge will award you alimony. However, if you are fired and cannot find another job, a sympathetic judge may be convinced that you will need financial help until you get back on your feet. So, you stay at work until the divorce is final. Hooray for you. Once the divorce is final, all four of them are suddenly bouncing on their butts in the parking lot after being fired. What happens then? No child support and suddenly no work. No, it was definitely not about helping you in any way. Crap, then I'll just resign on Monday. God, you really are a natural blonde, aren't you? Asked Larry. What do you mean? Dismissal is when you leave your job of your own free will. If you even try to ask for alimony after you voluntarily quit your job, the judge will have to ask why you left a well-paying job so soon after filing your divorce papers. Good luck convincing a judge that this wasn't done to get your ex to support you. All the judge sees when he looks at you is a gold-digging slut. No, your best option is to hold on to your job as long as possible and save every penny you can. It will be even worse for Josh and me. You can bet our wives will receive alimony as well as child support since we both have children. What do you think will happen when we are suddenly laid off and cannot find another job that pays nearly as much? Keep in mind that alimony and child support are based on income at the time of the divorce. Crap. This FLM thing didn't sound nearly as good now. I realized that I needed to talk to Jack and try to work things out. Of course, I wanted to help my friends, but I simply could not lose my husband. What the hell was I thinking? Fuck my friends, if I have to throw them under the bus to save my marriage, let the throwing begin. I quickly pulled out my phone. Sorry, but the number you dialed does not accept calls from this number. Crap! Mary, give me your phone. Why? Because Jack blocked my number. I need to talk to him and fix this damn storm. She handed me her phone, and my three companions looked at me doubtfully. Sorry, but the number you dialed does not accept calls from this number. Crap. He blocked yours too. Try Larry or Josh. Not a very good idea. I'm trying to make things right. What do you think he will do if he finds out that the first call I make to him will be from the phone of one of my lovers? Yes, I know. You already think I'm stupid. At this point, I can't even refute it. I was in a panic. How do I find a husband who doesn't really want to be found on a Friday night? It is useless to spend the night at his work, since it is also closed and he does not work on weekends. Since my cell phone, like Mary's, is blocked, I'm pretty sure it also blocked our home and my work phones. I decided that talking on the phone wouldn't work anyway. I needed to do this face-to-face. I needed to find out where he was and ambush him. Fuck all this female marriage crap. Right now, I would gladly submit to him completely to get my husband back. God, how things have changed. Just this morning, I was thinking about how I would make him beg and humiliate himself to come home. Any guesses as to who will be begging and groveling now? I picked up my phone and started looking through my contacts. Surely at least one of his friends knows where I can find him. Spoiler alert. None of our mutual friends knew anything. Well, that wasn't entirely true. None of the former mutual friends who remained friends with me knew anything. The many mutual friends who now hated me knew enough. Unfortunately, while they had no reservations about letting me know that they knew exactly where I could find him, they also pointedly refused to disclose that information to me. I was greeted with laughter when I asked if they would be so kind as to give him a message from me. I had just sadly finished my last call and my fourth drink. That's when Josh showed his intelligence. Yes, this was said with sarcasm. Maybe it was just my mood at the time, or it could simply be a result of the differences between the way a woman thinks and the way a man thinks. Some of you might actually think that what Josh suggested was really brilliant. I don't think so. Well, Josh began. Since our lives are in complete crap anyway, why don't we go to Kayla's and spend the whole night just the four of us? We've already had sex, so we can take advantage of this and have sex all night long. He thought this was sound logic. Maybe for him, but I just got a big dose of common sense. Of course, if there is nothing left to lose, then perhaps there will be something to think about. Personally, I think Jack and I still have a tiny chance. That slim chance would evaporate faster than a drop of water on the surface of the sun if I took everyone indoors and had an all-night orgy with them. I politely declined and invited Mary to take them home. I had a husband whom I tried to get back. I tried everything I could think of to find Jack over the weekend. I spent hours driving around motel parking lots looking for his truck. I drove past all of his friends' houses at different times to see if his truck was there. I even tried to follow his best friend when I saw him leaving the house, hoping he would go to where Jack was. It was all in vain. On Monday morning, I set up camp across the street from his work. That morning, I saw everyone coming, but Jack never showed up. I waited another hour, still nothing. Even though I was already late for work, I didn't care. They weren't going to fire me right now anyway, and I would still be fired after the settlement, but it didn't matter. I got out of the car and headed to the office. I saw that the door to Jack's office was closed and asked the secretary if Jack was there. She told me that he was gone for 2 weeks. Shit. The boss gave me a dirty look when I walked in 2 hours late. I did not care. All phones that I could use are blocked. His friends refuse to help. I can't even get him a message at work. I have no idea where he is, so I can't show up on his doorstep. Mail is not an option because I have no idea where to send it. What are my options? Email. He always checks his email. I just have to hope he doesn't block my emails. There's nothing wrong with trying. Jack, I don't have an excuse, so I won't waste our time trying to give you one. Let me just say that I somehow contracted the disease of fools. I don't blame Mary for this because I made the decision myself, but I just thought it was so wonderful to hear her talk about female marriage. I have no idea what made me think there was even the slightest chance that you would accept this anyway. Yes, I should have known better. I'm really sorry you had to metaphorically hit me on the head to wake me up. Now I'm awake. I need you to know that I am deeply embarrassed and sorry for my actions. I understand that you still won't accept this. Jack, despite my recent actions, I truly love you with all my being. Don't think for a second that you did anything wrong. It was just me being an incredible idiot and selfish. Jack, my love, although I don't deserve it, I beg you to forgive me. I need you to let me come back, and I'm willing to give you everything to make that happen. I saw how stupid it was of me to try to create FLM, but I would be thrilled to be part of MLF. Yes, Jack, I give you my soul, and you only give orders. I will literally do anything you want to get back to where I belong, with you. Yes, I know the definition of the word anything. Please, Jack, I offer you everything. Would it help you to whip my ass with a leather belt? Just tell me when and where. I'll even bring you a belt. Since you have absolutely no reason to trust me, I will happily put on the chastity belt and give you the keys. Since this was already a condition for my return to you, my blood was already taken to be tested for STDs. Results should come back in a couple of days. Just tell me where to send the results and I will deliver them to you. Jack, I know that no matter what happens, you are the best person I have ever known. I know that you will never be able to bring yourself to harm me, although perhaps I deserve it. You can whip me, have me, humiliate me in front of all our friends, treat me like a slave. I accept it all. I'm not asking you to forget or at least trust me again. All I ask is the opportunity to be yours in any capacity you desire. I ask for nothing more than to come back to you. Forever. Even if it means I have to agree to a divorce or watch you have sex with other women. I pray that this does not happen, but I understand that it is not my decision. I'm the one to blame, and I accept that you might want to even the score. Goose, all this crap. What about Mary, Larry, Josh, and the lawsuit against my company? Mary manipulated me into going along with this plan. Josh and Larry took advantage of this. As you know, I will be fired as soon as the lawsuit against the company is settled. We are all to blame. Do with them what you want. I'll even help if you want. After all, from now on, I am your willing slave. Your loving slave, Kayla. Luckily, Jack hasn't blocked my email yet. What's even more amazing is that he actually read it. No, he didn't believe my words. After all, I've already broken the biggest vow I've ever made. You know about leaving everyone else behind. Since I broke that promise, what could make him think that I wouldn't break any other promises? All I could do was prove it to him, one action at a time. 2 years have passed since I sent this letter. Josh and Larry were pretty well screwed in their divorces. All 4 of us were fired the day after the lawsuit against the company was settled. Josh and Larry were eventually able to find other jobs with much lower pay. They had to move to a small 2-room apartment in one of the worst areas of the city. Since no decent woman wants anything to do with a guy who can barely afford to pay rent, their social life has become basically non-existent. Their ex-wives used this opportunity to turn their children against them. I understand that both women are now on much better terms. Jack wanted to test me and see if I would keep everything I promised in the letter or not. If I want him back, I really don't have much of a choice. It was a pretty rough 6 months, but eventually he pulled back a bit. He still brings other women home, but now it only happens once every 2 months. And yes, I watch how he does this with others, and then I satisfy them myself. After I was fired, I stopped working. Jack got a promotion and earns enough that we can get along just fine without my income. I almost always stay at home and take care of the children and the house. We have 2-year-old twins. I'm naked most of the time, although Jack recently said that I should start wearing clothes at home soon. The kids are getting old enough that it will be weird otherwise. But now I only wear clothes when I leave the house or when we have guests. Mary? Well, she's still married. Of course, she was fired too, but no one really expected her to actually suffer any serious consequences. Her husband was completely under her thumb. She'll just find another job, and life will go on for her. Well, life isn't always fair. Yes, sure. It turns out that Harold wasn't the meek loser everyone thought he was. Once he had all the evidence, he became angry. I thought I had a tough 6 months, but it was a picnic compared to hers. Then, deciding that he had punished her enough, he handed her the divorce papers. While he put Mary through hell, he quietly liquidated all their assets and ensured their safety. He gave her the house, after he refinanced and took all the equity, and then disappeared. She lost her house, and all her money was gone. She found another job, but only for half the salary she received before. She also has a reputation, but now she is not dating. She has another month of antibiotics ahead of her. You're probably wondering why I put up with this, or laughing at how I got what I deserved. If you're mad because Jack didn't leave me out in the cold, I thank God every day that he didn't, even though I deserved it. I put up with it because I just can't imagine not having the love of my life with me. Of course, Jack puts me down, but he still loves me. He has sex with other women, but never without me. I can leave whenever I want, and Jack showed me the papers where he would be absolutely fair in the divorce. I refuse the offer. He is a wonderful father, lover, and husband. I don't need anything else. I got so caught up in the idea of female marriage that I lost sight of what was really important. Instead of being happy in an equal relationship, I was now submissive to my husband. This shouldn't have happened, but I'm happy. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.